For the windows on the front panel, it looks like we could probably go through a similar process as the ones we did back here, but it's a little bit different shaped. So let's take a look at this. Yeah, it looks like the window block is this whole L-shaped thing. So actually, let me switch back to an outliner here and join this area here. And we can maybe get a better look at it like this. So it looks to me like there's this bracket here, and it almost looks like it extends up, like this is all one piece. And then I would assume that there's a bracket here, and this extends down. And also over here, this extends down, and this one extends up. So I think it's similar, but slightly different. So let's give this a try. Before I do anything, though, I think let's move these up a bit, the extra pieces we have in the outliner. Let's take these and let's move these up into the vehicle main. There we go. And then I'll select the scene collection to be sure that any new objects will get put into there. So first of all, let's create the window block and then put the brackets on around it. Maybe I can select this edge and press Shift S2 to bring the cursor there, and then create a cube with Shift A, and it'll pop into that point where the cursor is. And let's scale it down and maybe move it out a bit. We can scale it in the Y-axis here with SY and maybe bring it into about like this, let's say, about that thick. We can always make that thicker or thinner once we get it in place. Now let's go to the side view with the numpad 3, and I'll press R, and let's rotate it a bit, and let's move it right into here. And I'm going to try and get it right aligned with this piece, like that. There we go. I think that's pretty good. And since we're still in local transform orientation, you can see that the move gizmo is aligned to the object, and that's good. That's going to help us as we do this. So I'll go to the front view, and let's go ahead and press Alt-Z so we can see it. And let's move it over to here. It looks like I need to adjust it a bit. I think I've pulled it out from that piece when I moved it. Let me pull it back, and I need to be more careful when I do that. So let's tab into edit mode and go to face select. And I'm just going to take this face and move it in line with the local axis. So with this Z axis here, I can take that and I can move it down and up, and it'll stay in line with that other object. In addition, I can take this and move it all the way over here. And I can't really tell if this needs to go down further. I think it's okay right there, right? So we should still be aligned with that object. Yep, we're doing pretty good there. And I'll add an edge loop right here with Control R. There we go. Select this face and then extrude that up. So I can hit E and just drag that straight up. Oh, until about right here, I guess, because I think this is probably that top bracket. Well, but the bracket overlaps here, so maybe I better take it all the way up like that. There we go. All right, so let's see how we did. I'll press Alt-Z and tab back into object mode, and there is our first glass block. Now let's see if we can get these brackets on. To do that, once again, I'll go ahead and select this edge down here and press Shift S2 to move that cursor there. And then let's this time create a polygon plane. And let's turn it in the x-axis, RX90. There we go. Scale it down, and let's try and get this in place to begin shaping that bracket. I'll pull it out here some and scale it down a bit more. Well, let's scale it down quite a bit more, about like that. And then I'll take it and turn it. And let's move it into place right about here, because I want it to still have some thickness, so I want to bring it out just a bit like that. All right, and then we need to scale it out, so I'll press Alt-Z so we can see again in here, and I'll tab into edit mode and go to edge mode, and let's select an edge and move it over here, and maybe this edge and move it over here. Okay, So now if we select this edge, we should be able to extrude it. Hit E, and I'll go ahead and hit Enter, and then I'll grab this and pull it out. And then let's press E and Enter, and then I'll just drag this straight up like that in the Y-axis. The question is how's it going to look once we add a solidify modifier? Actually, before we do that, let me just bring this up just a bit here. Before we do that, we should go ahead and add this piece that's curling around there. And to do that, I think we're going to need to go ahead and extrude. I'll hit E and Enter, and then pull this out in the X-axis. And then once again, E and Enter, and I'm going to pull up in the Y-axis like this. Now, I think I need to take this down. It needs to be inside or not quite as wide as the block there. And it looks like it probably needs to come out some. Let me pull it out a bit like this. There we go. So let's take a look and see how it looks with a solidify modifier. I'll go ahead and add a modifier, solidify. Let's press Control A and apply the scale. Let's choose even thickness. And I'll click and drag in the thickness field to kind of pull these back just a bit like that. Yeah, I think that's okay. Let me pull this up here. Maybe pull it in here like this. So we have this kind of strange thing here. We'll have to see how that's going to play out once we apply this solidify modifier. In fact, I guess we could go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and hit apply. And then if we tab into edit mode, let's take this point here. And let's see if we can just kind of bring it down some, as well as this point here. Just kind of bring it down beneath there. I'm probably nitpicking. This is going to be such a small part of the overall model so that I don't know that it's really going to matter. Now, one thing I realize I've done is I've applied the solidify modifier before I created this piece over here. So let me undo that. I'm just going to undo until we get back to the point where we have the solidify modifier here. And then I'll go ahead and extrude this one out here too. So sometimes I get ahead of myself, but at least now I know that's going to work out okay, I think. So let's go ahead and hit extrude and enter, and we'll pull out a bit here. And then let's hit E and enter, and then I'm just going to drag up like this. So I guess this goes all the way up to here, huh? It does. I don't know if it turns and goes on top. I don't think I'm going to do it unless I can find another view that tells me it actually works that way. But at least for now, I'm not going to do that. I'll pull this out just a bit. There we go. Okay, so now I could apply the solidify modifier and pull those points down, but I'm going to wait just a little bit more before I do that and get the other one in up top. So to do that, I could actually use this now. I could duplicate this, move it up, and spin it around. Let's do that. Let's press Shift D and enter. I'm going to drag it up, and now I'm going to spin it around in the Z-axis, the local Z-axis. I'll press RZ180. There we go. And now let's put this in place. I'll kind of slide it over here. Maybe get this one in line. Let's see how this works. And bring this down until it's just about, let me press Alt-Z so I can see it a little bit better. Yeah, you can kind of see where it's supposed to go a little bit better like this. So something like that. Let's try that. And then I'll grab this edge here. Bring it up. Alt-Z, and now let's bring this up like this. This looks like it's too tall. Let me bring this down about like that. And then I'll bring this one down to here. Looks like I need to bring that in just a bit. We can select multiple different kinds of components. So we can select faces, and then we can also come up here and press Shift and click edges, and that turns on edge select mode as well. So we can now press Shift and begin selecting edges too. So now if we move this in, it'll move all of that. in like that. And then maybe I could grab this face now and pull it in like this. There we go. And then, oh, this one here still needs to be brought in like this. Okay, let's spin around and take a look at it. It looks pretty good, actually. The only thing I would say here is I do like those curved edges here. So let's work on that in the next video, as well as creating a Boolean cut into this panel and mirroring these over.